I'm Patrizia Sandretto Re Rebaudengo from Italy. First of all, I'm a collector, and then I'm a president of Fondazione Sandretto Re Rebaudengo. As I said, I'm a collector. I started collecting some years ago, at the beginning of the 90s, in 1992. And for me, it was very important to go to London to visit art studios, and in that moment I understood that I wanted to be a collector. I still remember how fantastic was this experience, and what I think that the difference to collect contemporary art is that you really can know the artists, visit their studios, talking with them, understand what there is behind their works, and this is something fantastic and that can only happen if you collect contemporary artists and artwork. I started collecting in '92, but after a few years I understood that I wanted to be more and more involved in the art world. And so I decided to establish in 1995 my Fondazione. And Fondazione, it's a no-profit institution. It's based in Torino. We have two exhibition spaces. One, it's an old palazzo from the 17th century in the country outside Torino, in a nice place just in front of Alba, Barolo, Barbaresco, the area of the best wine and the good white truffle. And in this space we used to organize exhibition, project, and sometimes show the collection. And then in 2002 we opened the second space, that is our headquarters in Torino. It's a new building, was just built from the scratch. The architect is Claudio Silvestrini, is an Italian architect living in London, and it's a building of around 3,500 square meters, in which we have an exhibition area, but we also have a cafeteria designed by Rudolf Stingel, a restaurant, an auditorium, an educational rooms, and a bookshop. And we have three aims. The first important aim is to support the artists. To support the artists, that means to show their work, but not only. What is very important for me, it's also to be involved in the production of new works, so commissioning and then producing new works. This is fantastic, to see a work that from nothing became really a work. A second important aim for the foundation is to give the opportunity to body to know contemporary art, to bring an ever-growing public closer to contemporary art. And this is very important too for me. So we do a lot of educational programs. We have a lot of children and students, around 20,000 students every year that come to have laboratories and so on. But we want to work not only with the children, with the students, but also with the adults. So we have a lot of specific workshop lessons for adults, and then for teachers, and then for people with special needs. For this, also important for us, we have a lot of moments in which we give the opportunity to blind people to understand what is an exhibition of contemporary art, to try to see through the eyes of our mediators, because yes, for us it's always so much important to give the opportunity to everybody not only to see but also to understand contemporary art. And this because when I started collecting at the beginning of the 90s, it was quite difficult also for me. I graduated in business economics, so I didn't have any specific preparation. And so what I really think that is important is to give the opportunity to everybody to understand more. And for that we have our mediators. They are free, they are always in our exhibition area, and they talk. They created a mediation between the works that are on our rooms and our visitors, and this for me is very, very important too. And then the third important aim is to create collaboration between my foundation and other institutions in the world. For that, for example, we work with the Whitechapel Gallery in the past year in London. We have a grant in collaboration with the Serpentine Gallery in London for young artists. We try to work with a museum all over the world, and also with biennial. For example, we used to participate, to collaborate with the Italian Venice Biennial, and also in this case with the Istanbul Biennial. Because for me, as I said, it's very, very important to be really involved in the art world, not only as a collector, but also trying to find different ways. And it's for that, for example, we have a specific project in Torino that is a residence for young curators, because I think that it's important to support artists, but at the same time, it's also important to work with the curators. For that, every year, we invited 3 young curators from the most important curatorial schools in the world. There is a jury that chooses the 3 curators. The curators arrived in Torino, in Italy, at the beginning of January. They spent 3 months visiting Italy. That means from Torino to Venice, from Milano to Sicily. So they can visit art studio, they can visit galleries, they can visit museum, talk with a director of museum, curator, obviously artists. And then at the end of this journey in Italy, in Torino, they organized, they curated an exhibition with the Italian artists that they met in these travels. And this for us is very important, because in this way we can obviously work with young curators, but at the same time we can also help and support our Italian artists. And so we really believe in this project as one of the important projects that we do and we work in the Fondazione. So, as I said, I started collecting in 1992, and at the beginning it was very important to go to London to visit art studio, and at the beginning I decided to divide my collection in 5 themes. That means one obviously was art from Britain, British artists, and this was really the beginning of the story of the Fondazione. At the same time, I started to buy British from LA, from Los Angeles. I went to LA, like what happened in London happened also in LA. I went to Los Angeles and I visit art studio and I start to buy artists from Los Angeles. And then at the same time, I decided to start to collect women artists, not because I'm feminist, but because I wanted to create a relation, to understand what there was behind their work. And I have to say that it's quite, for me, very, very interesting. Another part of the collection is devoted to photography. Even in this case, it's been important to buy photography. This case is a little bit different, because if all the works in the collection are works that have been produced and realized from the 80s up to today, in the case of photography, I decided to start to collect and to buy photography from 1839, 1840, so historical photo, in order to have a collection that talk about the history of the photography. But it's the only for photography I go so ahead. And then the 5th themes was Italian artists. Obviously it was quite normal living in Italy to collect and to follow artists from my country. But this happened in the 90s, at the beginning of my collection. What happened after that, I understood that the world has changed, because in the last year many things have changed. In the last year the world is really globalized. So now there are artists from all over the world. I cannot say I collect women, I collect artists from LA or from British art. And so now the collection is a collection that in which you can find works from all over the country, from every moment, from every nationality. It's a collection that talk to everybody, with everybody, and that try to be precise and to regarding what is happening now in the art world. Even because for me, from the beginning, it's been important to collect and to buy works more close to political or social context. For me, for example, it's important not to have a collection of names, but a collection of works. So it's very important to find for each artist the right words. This is what I'm trying to find. I'm more close to work that make me think, and this is the way. I never bought a work of art just to decorate my house. All the work have to tell me something more than just decorate house. When I started and collected, then when I decided to establish my foundation was 1995, and I was lucky because I was living in Torino, where we had a museum, because we have the Castello di Rivoli that opened 31 years ago. But we have to remember that the first national museum of my country, the Maxi in Rome, opened only in 2009. So this means that from the 90 up to 2009, a lot of exhibition, a lot of work was done by many private foundations like mine. And in our country, there are really many foundations that supported, that worked with, together with the museum, the few museums that were in our country. And for that, we understand that we had an important role in a certain way in Italy, and it's for that just last year we created a committee. We are 15 private foundations from Torino to Venice and from Milano to Sicily, and we are all together in a committee in order to try to help, because, for example, in Italy, for young artists, it's quite difficult to have help from the public and from museum. And so what we are trying to do is to support Italian young artists, is to create collaboration within private and public, because we understand that the situation is difficult, not only in Italy, all over the world. The problem that there is always less money for culture, and so what means that if we private collector that we love art, we don't support, we don't try a way to collaborate private and public, it will be always more and more difficult. Now, for example, just next week, now in September, in Sheffield, there will be four different exhibitions in which they involve the city of Sheffield. They involved 4 collectors, and I am one of the collectors, and my collection will be shown in the Sheffield cathedrals. And after that, there will be one day in which we will have a big symposium in which we will talk about philanthropy, mecenati, put together private and public, because this is really a big problem all over the world. And what I think that we have to do is really to work in this direction. We that we have private museum, that we have collection, we have to work to help to support also public museum and to work together, because it's really important to have private foundation, but it's also important that every country could have good, fantastic public institution in which everybody can go and see art.